So you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi there talking about Operation Sindoor and India's new normal. The Prime Minister set the record straight. Now it was a fascinating, absolutely scintillating discussion on Operation Sindoor. You had the opposition, one attack after the other, from Rahul Gandhi to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra to Akhilesh Yadav. Multiple opposition leaders mounted an attack on the government, and the Prime Minister and the Union Home Minister, they spoke today. External Affairs Minister and Defence Minister had spoken yesterday, and images that you see, BJP leaders flanking Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He spoke for almost 1 hour and 45 minutes. He started speaking around 6:15 and at 7:56 virtually, he continued to speak. So 1 hour, 42 minutes the Prime Minister spoke and not only gave details of Operation Sindoor, but India's new normal with Pakistan. Close to 100 minutes plus, the Prime Minister went launching an all-out attack, not just on Pakistan's state-sponsored terror, but also on India's principal opposition party, the Congress party, at times accusing the Congress party, according to the Prime Minister, in its desperation, speaking Pakistan's language or furthering Pakistan's propaganda against India. And he said, in an era of misinformation and disinformation, this is extremely dangerous. Of course, in the end, he said, at least he hopes that the Congress party will not be pressured, according to him, by the family to toe the line of India's adversaries, whether it comes to Pakistan or to China. But Rahul Gandhi, when he launched a frontal attack on the Narendra Modi government, there were very pertinent points that Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and Akhilesh Yadav, of course, also made. Akhilesh Yadav at one point of time questioning the government on the timing of Operation Mahadev. Of course, Union Home Minister Amit Shah gave details of Operation Mahadev, and during the course of the next 1 hour, we get you all details about India's massive war on terror. That one question that everyone was asking initially, what happened to the terrorists of Pahalgam? Union Home Minister confirmed that India Today newsbreak to the country and the world in Parliament that the 3 Pahalgam terrorists had been neutralized by 4 para SF, by the Jammu and Kashmir Police and the Central Reserve Police Force and the Rashtriya Rifles operating in tandem. And this, he said, was confirmed not just through the Central Forensic Sciences Laboratory, through the ballistics test. Now, all the ammunition that was fired, not just in Pahalgam, so some of the spent cartridges and the 3 weapons that were recovered, in M9 carbine, the AK-47 series assault rifles, all of those weapons were flown in a special flight after these 3 terrorists were neutralized yesterday in the Dachigam forest area. So these weapons were flown to the Central Forensic Sciences Laboratory in Chandigarh. All night, those weapons were fired once again so that the casings, the shelling, the shells, the cartridges, they were recovered. The markings were checked and they confirmed that these were the same weapons that were used. Also, human intelligence. So the combination of signal intelligence, human intelligence, technical intelligence, it's now confirmed the 3 terrorists, the Pakistani terrorists who launched an attack at Pahalgam, singling out Hindus and killing them in Pahalgam, they have been neutralized. That was one part of the story. The second part, Operation Sindoor. The opposition relentlessly went after the government on the aspect of US intervention and mediation, third-party intervention in Jammu and Kashmir, or America having a role to play in the ceasefire. Prime Minister set the record straight. He said no country in the world, no world leader asked them to stop their operations. Not just that. He said US Vice President J.D. Vance, and he named J.D. Vance. US Vice President J.D. Vance called him, and then he called again and again. 3-4 times he called, but the Prime Minister was busy with the armed forces that time, and J.D. Vance was trying to caution India, saying Pakistan was about to launch a massive attack on India. The Prime Minister responded when he called back J.D. Vance, saying, if Pakistan will strike, India will strike even harder. Har goli ka jawab gole se diya jayega. And that's exactly what India did. Once again, the Home Minister, the External Affairs Minister, the Defence Minister, and ultimately the Prime Minister reiterating it was Pakistan's Director General of Military Operations who came virtually on a bent knee seeking a ceasefire. And why? Because India had targeted multiple Pakistani air bases and radar stations, completely, as the Prime Minister put it, destroying Pakistan's ability to wage war against India. India's initial response had been to target only terrorist launch pads, terrorist training centers and terror headquarters where these terrorists had been trained. But when Pakistan escalated, India hit back and hard. Rahul Gandhi raised several pertinent points, especially on the aspect of China and Pakistan coming together and operating as one. But both the External Affairs Minister and the Prime Minister gave out details about how China and Pakistan had been operating in tandem right since independence, when Shaksgam Valley was ceded to China by Pakistan, and a lot of other details. But first, listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
पाकिस्तान की न्यूक्लियर धमकी को हमने झूठा साबित कर दिया। भारत ने सिद्ध कर दिया कि न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेलिंग अब नहीं चलेगा और न ही ये न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेलिंग के सामने भारत झुकेगा। 10 मई को भारत ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के तहत हो रहे एक्शन को रोकने की घोषणा की। इसको लेकर यहां भांति भांति की बातें कही गई। ये वही प्रोपेगेंडा है जो सीमा पार से फैलाया गया है। कुछ लोग सेना द्वारा दिए गए तथ्यों की जगह पाकिस्तान के झूठ प्रचार को आगे बढ़ाने में जुटे हुए हैं। जबकि भारत का रुख हमेशा स्पष्ट रहा है। दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा। उसी दौरान 9 तारीख को रात को अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझसे बात करने का प्रयास किया। वो घंटे भर कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन मेरी सेना के साथ मीटिंग चल रही थी, तो मैंने उनका फोन उठा नहीं पाया। बाद में मैंने उनको कॉल बैक किया। मैंने कहा कि आपका फोन था, 3-4 बार आपका फोन आ गया, क्या है? तो अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझे फोन पे बताया कि पाकिस्तान बहुत बड़ा हमला करने वाला है। ये उन्होंने मुझे बताया। मेरा जो जवाब था, जिनको समझ नहीं आता है उनको तो नहीं आएगा। मेरा जवाब था, अगर पाकिस्तान का ये इरादा है तो उसे बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा। ये मैंने अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति को कहा। अगर पाकिस्तान हमला करेगा तो हम बड़ा हमला कर करके जवाब देंगे। ये मेरा जवाब था। और आगे मेरा एक वाक्य था, मैंने कहा था, हम गोली का जवाब गोले से देंगे। ये 9 तारीख रात की बात है और 9 रात में और 10 सुबह हमने पाकिस्तान को सैन्य शक्ति को तहस नहस कर दिया था। और यही हमारा जवाब था, यही हमारा जज्बा था। और आज पाकिस्तान भी भली भांति जान गया है कि भारत का हर जवाब पहले से ज्यादा तगड़ा होता है।
And over the course of the next 1 hour, we will get you all details of what the Prime Minister said, what the Defense Minister said, what the Home Minister said. But we'll also get you the Leader of Opposition and his frontal attack on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in particular and the BJP government in general, especially on the aspect of Operation Sindoor, where Rahul Gandhi said that the armed forces were fighting Operation Sindoor with a hand tied behind their back because of restrictions that he claimed had been imposed by the government, and he quoted India's naval attaché at a seminar to make his point. Listen in to Rahul Gandhi also on the aspect of China and Pakistan now coming together, saying it's a major failure of India's foreign policy.
Don't have President Trump tell you that I have stopped the war 29 times. Have the courage to tell him, no, to hell with you. You can't stop any war. We're going to fight. Rajnath Singh ji said, maybe he didn't mean to say this. He also said that he told the Pakistanis that we are not going to hit any of your military infrastructure. Now, this is a very interesting fact because, and I want you to listen carefully to this. I said freedom of maneuver, meaning freedom to the Air Force. Now listen to this quote very carefully. Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché Indonesia, he says, I may not agree with him that India lost so many aircraft, but I do agree that we did lose some aircraft. And that happened only because, of the constraint given by the political leadership to not attack the military establishment and their air defense. Meaning you went into Pakistan, you attacked Pakistan, and you told our pilots, do not attack their air defense system. Meaning you told our pilots, go and attack and face the air defense system of Pakistan. Meaning you tied their hands behind their back. That India's biggest foreign policy challenge has been to keep Pakistan and China separate. And I said here that I am sad to say that you have destroyed the single biggest, most important goal of Indian foreign policy. China and Pakistan are fused like this.
China and Pakistan are fused like this. That's one point that Rahul Gandhi has made. But the other point where he's quoting India's naval attaché to Indonesia, saying that there were constraints not to attack military installations in Pakistan or their air defenses and only target their terrorist infrastructure, and that cost us our military hardware. I want to bring into this conversation Guru Prakash Paswan, a national spokesperson of the BJP. In a moment, we'll be joined by Aishwarya Mahadev, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, former DG Infantry, joins us on this broadcast, as does Sushant Sareen, senior fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. And Guru Prakash Paswan respond to Rahul Gandhi saying, nobody in the Congress is ever questioning the valor of our armed forces. Our armed forces are the bravest of the brave, no doubt. But it's the political constraints, he says, that cost us our military hardware, if at all it did, sir.
There was no political constraint at all, Gauravji, and today the nation witnessed how the lion roared and the minions listened. The Prime Minister mentioned about the call with the Honorable Vice President of the United States as well. And he said, and I was reminded of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji said, अगर पाकिस्तान ऐसा करने की सोचेगा तो पाकिस्तान कल का सूरज नहीं देखेगा. Similar sentiments, Gaurav ji, similar feelings and similar emotions are today in the entire country. The countrymen today saw, and how the Congress party, the entire opposition leadership, right from day one, Honorable Prime Minister said 2 days after April 22nd, they were trying to seek political opportunity in this entire episode. But today, Honorable Prime Minister, entire discussion, his entire address to the nation, he exposed the Congress party historically as well. 1965, 1971, 93,000
So I'll come to the historic aspect in just a moment.
Completely exposed.
Okay. Sushant Sareen, your appreciation of the Congress attack and the BJP's, I wouldn't say defense, perhaps the counter attack. Sushant Sareen, on Operation Sindoor, is there now more clarity, and is there merit in the opposition saying that the armed forces were fighting this battle with their hands tied behind their back?
For the opposition to make a charge like that is utter nonsense. Armed forces will be given operational freedom, but the direction of any war, Gaurav, under a democratic dispensation has to be with the civilian authority. Whether anybody likes it or not, that is the simple reality. So yes, the civilian bosses will call the shots, they will give a certain direction, and the operational freedom is with the armed forces. And I think that position is very clear in India. Should we have accepted a ceasefire when we were on the high? That is a political decision, and I think it was the correct decision. We are not interested in an endless war. The objectives had been achieved, and that is the time to call it off. Now, the point is that, this entire debate, I really wish there was something new in it. So
Yes.
The government's position was basically what much of it, almost 90% of it, which we already knew. The opposition charges were also, all of them were regurgitated, which they have been levying over the last couple of weeks. Nothing new out there. Not a single new thing came from the opposition's mouth. Same old charges. Somebody said it with a lot of passion. Somebody said it, with less passion. But I don't think there was any light coming from the opposition side. Some heat they were trying to generate, no light. But I think at the end of the day, it was at one level also political debate. And there I would imagine that the opposition was taken to the cleaners, because the Congress's past record and the dubious nature of the fact that people like us, people who are observing what is happening in the region, can make out that the Congress party's talking points are no different than Pakistan's talking points.
And I think that's a very grave charge. I will come to you for that, for elaboration on that. I want to quickly cut across to the parliament. Rahul Gandhi is speaking outside the parliament now. Let's quickly listen in.
उन्होंने क्लियरली नहीं कहा कि ट्रंप झूठ बोल रहे हैं. शायद 29 बार ट्रंप ने बोला है, उसका जवाब नहीं दिया. और सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग बात थी कि पूरे भाषण में चाइना शब्द प्रधानमंत्री ने नहीं बोला. पूरा देश जानता है कि पाकिस्तान की मदद, टेक्निकल मदद, एयरफोर्स की मदद चाइना ने की, मगर प्रधानमंत्री के मुंह से, डिफेंस मिनिस्टर के मुंह से चाइना शब्द नहीं निकला.
So neither the Prime Minister nor the Defense Minister spoke about China or Chinese assistance to Pakistan, including in active combat. That's another charge, a major charge that Rahul Gandhi is leveling even now. And the fact that the Prime Minister did not categorically say that Donald Trump is lying. General Yadav, in your appreciation, the charges leveled by the opposition and the government's response, are you satisfied in terms of the opposition's charges that government is still not coming clean on Trump's mediation, Trump's role, and China's assistance to Pakistan in combat, sir?
Gaurav, all the military operations They are not required to be discussed in open domain. That is my opinion, and this is what the official stand is. It is only need to know basis. One has to inform to the public or any other body within the country. And that has been done by the government now, earlier, and not only that, during Ops Sindoor, the military briefings by the three DGMOs, they had clarified everything what was required to be conveyed to the entire nation. So to that extent, everything has been in the place. Wherein it's my personal opinion that while the world is celebrating and they're discussing the operational art and strategy and the new operational paradigms conducted during Operation Sindoor, we have our few political personalities who are questioning this entire thing. And I'm going to tell you, the world over, this operation is being discussed in various militaries because it was something new that has come in. Imagine you have not crossed the IB and you have not done any, or none of your aircrafts have crossed, yet within 4 days, you have achieved your political aim, which was set prior to this launching of this operations. So it
No,
is
but
a
the point
very
that the
big
Congress party is raising, no, let me
comment.
take it forward from here. Let me take it forward from here. The point the Congress party is raising, in case Pakistan was actually down on its knees, why did India not press home that advantage and take the decisive win, decisive victory over Pakistan and make India safer and insulate India from future terror attacks? That the government, according to the Congress and the opposition, did not do, sir. Your take on it.
Yes, Gaurav. One has to understand what is the objective enunciated by the government in the very beginning. There was a total political clarity into the national objective, and the objective was elimination of terror hubs, terrorists, and punish Pakistan that has been sponsoring terrorism in India since last 3 to 4 decades. So that was the thing, and initially only government has said it is not escalatory. So therefore, moment our aim and objective was achieved, we simply agreed once the DGM of Pakistan, he said, "Bas karo, bahut zyada maar pad gayi, isse zyada nahi hum jail payenge." So that this is kind of a thing. So we agreed to that, and that was another understanding with the Pakistan. We see the operations that time, but Op Sindoor has not finished as yet. It continues. So it was very clear from the very beginning, and in India and Pakistan, they don't have to go for the total war. You can understand the kind
No,
of
you may not
repercussions
want to,
of
you
an
may not go
all-out
for
war.
total war, you may not escalate, but Guru Prakash Paswan, I want to once again reiterate the point that the opposition has repeatedly made. So Pakistan के DGMO ने बोला बस करो बड़ी मार पड़ गई और हमने बस कर दिया. Arey, they've bled us for decades. If they are bleeding, bleed them harder. Or is there merit in the point that Donald Trump made that phone call and that is why the government stopped?
No, the only merit which I see and the entire country see, Gauravji, is that senior most Congress leader, Mr. P. Chidambaram, he is saying the same thing. He is throwing the same line that whether the terrorist came from Pakistan or not, this is heights of politics of minority appeasement. Gauravji, we must understand. Honorable Prime Minister today started his speech by saying this, मैं भारत का पक्ष रखने वाला हूं. People are clever enough to decipher कौन भारत का पक्ष रख रहा है, कौन पाकिस्तान का पक्ष रख रहा है, कौन चाइना का पक्ष रख रहा है. Let me rest my word over there, but we have to understand. If in one line you have to summarize today's speech by the Prime Minister, it is simply this. लावारिस वस्तुओं से सावधान रहे. Entire country still remembers, Gauravji, in all the public places, the announcements were a very new normal, the old normal, but the new normal is that there is no such announcement. Safety, security and stability of our people is the most important priority of Honorable Prime Minister. We have to realize today what Mr. Rahul Gandhi has said, it is similar of Sino-Pak interest. It is very similar of Sino-Pak interest, but today, like I said, he has exposed the entire Congress party historically, statistically, and by setting an example. 22 minutes में 22 April का पूरा जवाब दिया गया. We have to understand.
Okay, I
more
want
than
to bring
100 terrorists neutralized, Gauravji. 9 air bases destroyed. What else do we want? This is beyond my comprehension. The Congress party, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, must come out and give an answer. They must also clarify on Mr. P. Chidambaram's curiosity. What is the reason behind his curiosity? Terrorist kahan se aaye, kahan chale gaye? Op Sindoor, Op Mahadev. We saw, the entire country saw, and we are proud of our Honorable Prime Minister today.
Sushant Sareen, the fact that Guru Prakash Paswan and the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the floor of the House reminded us of those announcements. And when we were going to school, we were always advised, when you board a DTC bus, you look under the seat. There were those boards written there. It was in fact printed on the back of the seat. Check under your seat. If there's a tiffin box, if there's a toy, if there's something, alert security forces. The moment you see a cycle that you didn't know about, alert the security forces or the nearest police and get away from there. All that is not happening. But Sushant Sareen, are we safer? Because terrorists can still strike, and their strikes are becoming like the one at Baisaran, where they massacred 25 Hindus. Terrorists still continue to strike. Has Operation Sindoor made India safer? The opposition says clearly not.
Look, again, Gaurav, we are getting into absolutist positions. So, for example, you were just asking General Yadav, my question is, how does anybody define victory? Victory is defined by the objectives that you have set. If you have met your objectives, then it's victory. To say, why didn't you go for a POK? That wasn't the objective. You did not prepare to go into POK. And that same question can be turned around and asked to the other people. Forget going into POK. For 30, 40 years that you were ruling this country, you never even mentioned the name POK. It was hardly ever even mentioned. It was assumed that the line of control will become the international border. This is what they were also trying to negotiate with the Pakistanis. So that is as far as complete victory is concerned, which is also a segue to your question. Look, no country is completely safe from terrorism. No country in the world, not even the United States. The US has been lucky post 9/11. There have been multiple attempts to blow up bombs in the United States. They have accidentally managed to capture those terrorists. But no country is completely safe. Now, what do you do to make your country safe? You beef up your internal security mechanisms. And when you know that terrorism is coming from across the border, you raise the cost for the enemy, which is what Op Sindoor has done. It has told the Pakistanis that if you are going to try these funny games which you've been trying to do for the last 40 years, and forget about the transistor bombs, forget about those radios blowing up, forget about the Lavares cheese and the bags blowing up. Do you remember what was happening in Punjab when these Khalistani terrorists would come and pick out
motorcycles
people and shoot them dead? Do you remember that time? My family is from Punjab. I remember what was happening out there. After 6 o'clock, nobody used to venture out. So the point is that we have gone through this torture for almost 50 years now. And it's about time we start putting a stop to it. And one way of doing it is that you raise the cost for the enemy, which is what Op Sindoor does. And I think what is very significant is that the Prime Minister has reiterated that next time around, forget about succumbing to Pakistan's nuclear blackmail, we will not make any distinction between the terrorist state, that is Pakistan, which means state authorities, which means civilian and military leaders of that state who pander to and who sponsor terrorism, and the terrorists themselves. We are now clubbing them as one. So essentially, I think that is a very, very salutary message. There is only one thing on which I have a serious disagreement, that if Op Sindoor, as the Prime Minister has reiterated, is still on, why the hell are we going to Dubai to play cricket with Pakistan? And on this...
yes, I will get Guru Prakash Paswan to respond to that in a moment.
To do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you on the point that targeting 11 Pakistani air bases and radar stations, decimating them, and as the Prime Minister said, some of them are still in ICU. Rahim Yar Khan, for example, Noor Khan, Rafiqi, Mushaf, Jacobabad, Bulari, Skardu in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Sargodha, for example. This is stuff, as General Yadav, and General Yadav has a big smile on his face, this is stuff dreams are made of, that you will hit Pakistan so deep and so hard. But will it deter that radical Islamist state sponsor of terror? That remains the big question. But then the issue of internal security. Repeatedly BJP leaders, including Union Home Minister Amit Shah, raised the issue of former External Affairs Minister and Law Minister Salman Khurshid saying, Sonia Gandhi had tears in her eyes when images of Batla House encounter were shown to her. Priyanka Gandhi responded to that barb. That point was also made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, though he did not name Sonia Gandhi. He just said a senior Congress leader. But listen in to these heated exchanges that took place in Parliament.
मैं इसी देश के इतिहास से कुछ घटनाएं बताना चाहता हूं। 1948 में मान्यवर कश्मीर में हमारी सेनाएं निर्णायक बढ़त पर थी। सरदार पटेल ना बोलते रहे, जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने एक तरफा युद्ध विराम कर दिया। और मान्यवर मैं बड़ी जिम्मेदारी के साथ कहता हूं, मैं इतिहास का विद्यार्थी हूं। पाक ऑक्यूपाई कश्मीर का अगर अस्तित्व है तो जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी की ये युद्ध विराम के कारण है। इसका जिम्मेदार जवाहरलाल नेहरू है। 93,000 युद्धबंदी हमारे पास थे, 93,000, और 15,000 वर्ग किलोमीटर क्षेत्र पाकिस्तान का हमारे पास था। 93,000 युद्धबंदी, उस वक्त की पाकिस्तान की सेना का 42% और 15,000 वर्ग किलोमीटर क्षेत्र। मगर शिमला में समझौता हुआ, पाक ऑक्यूपाई कश्मीर मांगना ही भूल गए। अगर उस वक्त पाक ऑक्यूपाई कश्मीर मांग लेते, न रहेगा बांस, न बजती बांसुरी। ये कैंप तोड़ने की जरूरत न पड़ती साहब आपको, हमको। एक बार मैंने बड़े सवेरे में नाश्ता करता था, टीवी पर उनको रोते हुए देखा। मुझे लगा क्या हुआ, कोई बड़ी घटना हो गई। तो रोते रोते वो श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी के घर से बाहर आए कि बाटला हाउस की घटना देखकर सोनिया जी फूट फूट कर रो पड़ी। अरे रोना था तो शहीद मोहन शर्मा के लिए रोते, बाटला हाउस के आतंकवादियों के लिए रोना आता है। और मान्यवर हमें पूछते हैं कि आपने क्या किया, कोई अधिकार नहीं है पूछने का।
महान देशभक्त शहीद इंदिरा गांधी जी, जिन्होंने सफल कूटनीति के बल पर अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति निक्सन का मुकाबला करके पाकिस्तान का विभाजन करवाया, बांग्लादेश बनाया, 1 लाख पाकिस्तानी सैनिकों को आत्मसमर्पण करने पर मजबूर किया, उन्होंने कभी इसका श्रेय लेने की कोशिश नहीं की। और हमारे गृह मंत्री महोदय श्री अमित शाह जी के नाक के नीचे पूरा मणिपुर जल गया, दिल्ली में दंगे हुए, पहलगाम में हमला हुआ, और आज भी वे उसी पद पर बैठे हैं। क्यों? जैसे ये बात उठी, शरण की बात की हमारे गृह मंत्री जी ने, इतिहास में चले गए। नेहरू ने क्या किया, इंदिरा गांधी ने क्या किया, यहां तक कि मेरी मां के आंसुओं तक चले गए। लेकिन इस सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया कि ये सीज फायर हुआ क्यों।
So why did this ceasefire happen is a point that Congress has repeatedly raised. Has that adequately been addressed? Aishwarya Mahadev, Congress Party spokesperson, joins us on the show. Also with me is Rashid Kidwai, an analyst who's watching these developments very closely. General Yadav, Sushant Sarin, and Guru Prakash Paswan stay with me on this broadcast. Aishwarya Mahadev, the Prime Minister's strong response, 100 minutes, where he's talked about the new normal. Has he had answered that question and satisfactorily on the aspect that there was no foreign intervention for a ceasefire? Aim achieved, ceasefire done.
Good evening, Gaurav. Deflecting or trying to dismiss the opposition is not an adequate response or even a
Okay, Aishwarya, give me a moment as we try and reestablish that link with you. Rashid Kidwai, 100 minutes plus. The Prime Minister was emphatic. There's now a new normal with Pakistan. And if I may, Rashid Kidwai, he's actually launched a frontal attack and it's a multi-pronged offensive. So he's targeting Pakistan. At the same time, he's also targeting the Congress for speaking Pakistan's language. Very strong words there, sir.
So, Gaurav, there are two things. First of all, in all speeches, political parties and individuals have stuck to their known positions. So there is nothing that is, earth-shattering that has comes out of this. Now, see, it is all right to, accuse opposition that of not being sincere and all, but to say that they are hand in glove with Pakistan or they are, speaking
Furthering their
language of
agenda.
Pakistan, there is a
Yes,
political
sir.
side of it. And if there is some kind of quid pro quo, then it is far more sinister and serious, and government of the day needs to substantiate it. And I would say, I would go further, step further, punish them. So that is what we don't see it. See, Gaurav, if we level allegation of treason, being anti-national, being, this thing with Pakistan, these are serious allegations. So either government substantiates it or do not say it so. If you are just saying it for the sake of it, because Congress is a opposition party, it has fought 3-4 very decisive war. I mean, when it was in power against Pakistan, of course, there have been numerous shortcomings that there cannot be any defense of it. But I find this bit problematic that, the kind of thing when the Congress is equated with, sort of close to elements in Pakistan or with, part of Pakistani government, then I think government of India needs to act and act decisively, act on
Okay, good point.
substantive grounds.
Good point. Guru Prakash Paswan, quickly respond. Serious points being raised here, because if the Congress is being accused of furthering Pakistan's agenda, or when members of parliament on the floor of the house accuse Rahul Gandhi or the Congress of that secret deal with China, if there is illegality, take legal penal action, sir.
Gaurav, this is beyond my comprehension. What the Honorable Prime Minister said, it was purely based on grounds. There are data, there are evidences, there is a photograph where Rajiv Gandhi Foundation is signing an MOU with the Chinese embassy. What sort of accusation, what sort of allegations? Everything is there on public record, sir. 1971 war, did we not surrender 93,000 Pakistani soldiers? Did we not have the opportunity to renegotiate and get Kartarpur Sahib? This is beyond my comprehension. Every single word that the Prime Minister spoke today, every single sentence was backed by historical evidences. When P. Chidambaram, the senior most Congress leader, Gauravji, you must understand, we are not speaking of any random Congress political party worker. P. Chidambaram has been one of the senior most cabinet minister when UPA was in power. When he was a home minister as well. When he is towing the same line, when he is raising question, I am just amazed at the curiosity of Mr. Chidambaram. From where did the terrorist come? And today when they are neutralized by Op Mahadev, where is he? Where is he seeking in refuge? I don't understand.
I
Mr.
think
Rashid
I have a
Kidwai
link
is
with
very
Aishwarya
senior
Mahadev, and
journalist.
with
He
great
has seen it.
difficulty.
1965, 1971.
Okay, I'll come to those points in just a moment. Aishwarya Mahadev, you want to quickly respond? P.
Yes.
Chidambaram, the Prime Minister said virtually gave a clean chit, and the Home Minister seemed to also indicate that he's given a virtual clean chit to Pakistan. And why?
Gaurav, at the risk of losing network again, I'm just going to make a few very simple comments, right? Irrespective of all the wrongs of the past that the BJP would like to talk about, the Prime Minister spent more time talking about the Congress than anything else. And Mitti Mein Mila Dungi as apparently a new tagline, more than talking about what they did, where is the accountability, and what happens when there's intelligence failure, right? So, first and foremost, when you talk about accountability, this was the same man doing press meets asking for resignations when 2611 happened. And here you see them abdicating responsibility and extending terms for intelligence chiefs. One. The second thing is, even if you concede that everything wrong in the world and in this country, because Bangladesh came out of nowhere, because wars were won out of nowhere, agrarian revolutions came out of nowhere, and all the good in the world came after 2014 in the post Modi era. Please tell me, forget all the wrongs everybody has done. What have you done that is correct? Why are soldiers still being martyred? Why was there an intelligence failure? And why is there a clown who sits in the United States constantly saying he's the one that brokered peace in clear violation of India's integrity, self-respect, and the Shimla Accords? Don't talk about Chidambaram. Don't talk about anybody else. Ask Guru, when is Prime Minister Modi going to ask his
Why?
best friend Doland why
Aishwarya,
he's
why should we
saying
not talk
these
about
things?
Chidambaram?
Ask him,
Why should
forget
we not talk about
Chidambaram. A
Chidambaram,
prime
Aishwarya?
minister is allowing the president of another
Chidambaram is one of the
country
most
to make
senior
us look like
leader.
his little
Chidambaram,
chamcha.
former Union Home
आप
Minister.
इतने छप्पन इंच के
Former
बात
Union
करते हैं
Home
ना,
Minister P.
आप
Chidambaram,
उनको
and you're
जाके
asking
बोल
us to
दीजिए.
forget him.
Don't
You're
talk
asking us to
about
forget about
history. Tell
Chidambaram.
me what have
What
you
sort of
done
argument is
better
this,
now.
Aishwarya?
See, history
Okay.
is an easy way to escape
Look
accountability.
at the data.
You can
Look at
play
the statistics.
victimhood.
Look at
You
the
can
terrorist
foist
incident
victimhood
going
on
down.
yourself. वही तो आपके plank है इतने सारे साल से. Answer this simple question. Why has the 56-inch not had the guts and the courage to tell his friend Doland to stop saying that? Isn't it just a phone
100
call away?
terrorists
Isn't it
neutralized.
just a
Gaurav ji,
handshake? Isn't
बोलने
it
दीजिए.
just a selfie? And you're talking
Okay.
about the Chinese
अरे
party,
यार,
Gujarat,
Gaurav ji.
Vadodara mein Jola ke, who sat on a little swing with the Chinese premier, who went and ate biryani in Pakistan. Don't
The
make
Chinese
this debate
president.
about 1 second binaries. 1 second. It's a very
Gaurav
simple
ji.
thing we asked. We
Gaurav
have
ji.
stood with our armed
Okay.
forces no
The
matter
moment she completes her
what.
point, sir, I'm coming to you to
You
respond,
have
and then I'll
sat.
bring in our analysts.
It's a simple binary, right? We stand with our armed forces, but when things go wrong,
No, but are
when there
you
is
standing with the
negligence,
armed
lack of
forces when Chidambaram
accountability,
says, where is the proof
absolutely.
they're Pakistani? They could have been homegrown terrorists. Is that giving the Pakistanis a virtual clean chit, ma'am?
You know what
He's
what
former
I
Home
find
Minister of
appalling.
India.
1 second.
He knows counter-terrorism better than
Gaurav,
most in our country.
Gaurav, very simple. When you pick out a selective statement, that is one part. So when the BJP talks so aggressively about this, what about the two ministers that spoke about Colonel Sofia Qureshi and spoke about how the widows of the martyrs did not look enough martyrs' widows and things like that? Why don't those become reflections of the entire political party? When every
enough.
single leader in my party is echoing the same single line, we stand with our armed forces. You need to do more. You should not bow down to God-forsaken United States of America to negotiate
Gaurav
peace,
ji,
or at least do
एक
more.
ही
Your
है क्या?
151 tour has led to what?
Gaurav
The
ji, can I speak? Can I
Fair
Pakistan
enough.
respond?
sits at the
Yes.
UNSC.
Now,
They
Guru
chair
Prakash
the
Paswan wants to
UNSC.
respond
Shame on
to
your government
each
and
point.
your prime minister. You're
But
insulting
he's
every
also
single
your
Indian
prime
and the
minister.
armed
He's the
forces.
country's prime minister. That's the only submission. But go on, Guru Prakash Paswan. Please respond, sir.
No, see, Gaurav ji, we must understand that I respect Aishwarya a lot and she's a very articulate spokesperson. But every single word she has spoken on your show tonight, she has exposed the mentality of the Congress party. We must understand. She said, Chidambaram ko bhul jaiye. How can you forget Chidambaram? Chidambaram is one of the senior most leader. Chidambaram is one of the senior. I did not speak when you were speaking, Aishwarya. ऐसे बीच में मत बोलो. Chidambaram is one of your senior most leaders, Union Home Minister, Union Finance Minister, and what not. आप चिदम्बरम को भूल जाइए. You forget about Sonia Gandhi. When Mr. Salman Khurshid, again a senior most Congress leader, again a union minister during the UPA time, said कि बाटला हाउस एनकाउंटर के बाद सोनिया गांधी की आंखों में आंसू थे. ये भूल जाइए. ये भूल जाइए कि 93,000 soldiers, Gaurav ji. 93,000 soldiers when we had an opportunity to negotiate. We could have had Kartarpur Sahib corridor. ये भी भूल जाइए. ये भूल जाइए 38,000 square kilometer of land surrendered.
Today? Sushant Sareen, does that make our country safer today? Or in your appreciation, and I want all our guests to weigh in on this, the manner in which Pakistani air bases were targeted, 11 plus air bases and radar stations decimated, some remain in ICU. Is that a deterrence, or Pakistan will still strike? Or will Pakistan now think, if 11 bases have been targeted this time, next time it could be all 18? Sushant Sareen.
So, Gaurav, allow me to make a lighter point. When I hear a lot of people talk about the Indian armed forces, I'm reminded of that scene from Sholay when Amitabh Bachchan takes Dharmender's proposal to the Mossi and then is, appreciating his friend and then is pointing out to all the other things which go wrong with the guy. And the Mossi can't make up a mind whether he's actually defending his friend or dissing him. But that's on the lighter side. But look, on your question, I think it's look, a certain deterrence has been established. I don't think anybody can deny that. We never used to hit back at Pakistan. That's a fact. Nobody can deny that. We started doing that from 2016 onwards. Otherwise, yeah, there would be a few shallow raids. But 2016 onwards, it was that we will do it, we will declare it, and we will do it again if required. So that is a major change. And I think post-Op Sindoor, I think the doctrine has completely changed. I don't see how anybody can deny it. Now, will the Pakistanis be hurt? To some extent, they will. But I think there is no deterrence which lasts forever. So they will try and probe, they will try and finger us, they will try and develop certain capabilities which they think they will be able to counter us much better next time around, and they'll be able to cover, their own problems much better next time around. So they are going to try it. Just one more
Okay.
point. In this whole thing about Mrs. Gandhi's tears over the death of a terrorist, we have forgotten what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said when the Glasgow airport was struck by two guys of Indian origin. And he said,
Yes.
well, I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about the mother of these terrorists. He was not thinking about the people who die in a terrorist attack. That didn't bother him. He was more into that virtue signaling, and which is why I say that the Congress party, which is the grand old party, the party of natural governance, the party which defined nationalism at one point of time, has now acquired a reputation where people think that the Congress party is now seen by Pakistan as its best bet in India. This was never the case. Go into the
Which was its
1980s.
worst enemy. Yes.
They used to dread the Congress party coming to power. They were terrified of the Congress party. Look at the Pakistani press today.
Yes.
They root for the Congress party. They think the Congress party will deliver to them whatever they want. The Congress party needs
Rashid
to
Kidwai,
reputation it is gaining.
before I bring in, General Yadav, Rashid Kidwai, you want to quickly analyze this because you've covered the Congress for such a long time. You understand the Congress, but seriously, do you agree with this change or transformation? And as the Prime Minister put it, Tushtikaran, policy of appeasement, minority appeasement of the Congress has brought it to this situation that in its so-called, as the Prime Minister and the Home Minister put it, in their appeasement politics, they seem to be echoing Pakistan's line and agenda.
Gaurav, it's a matter of perception, but I think we cannot link, the so-called minority appeasement with the, Congress policy or attitude towards Pakistan. Remember, there are over 40 countries that have a substantial Muslim population, and the Indian Muslim stand is very different from, what Pakistan thinks of us as a
Absolutely.
nation. So all kind of things are there. So I think it is a bit of a problematic thing. The Congress may have, making some error of judgment, but I would still say that to, question their, intentions is, I think, uncalled for and little uncharitable. Pakistan, as far as concerned, is kutte ki dum. It is a teddy. Unless we take over, POK, or we break, Pakistan into, 4 nations or whatever, things are not going to settle down.
Sir, आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर. I hope that happens sooner than later. But General Yadav, is there merit in Rahul Gandhi saying that there's this fusion between China and Pakistan that this government fails to appreciate, fails to realize, and that will cost us? It's cost us in Op Sindoor. It will cost us in times to come. Rahul Gandhi's contention. Your take, sir.
You see, in army, we do discuss all the kind of contingencies that you have and kind of threat perception. And means I've spent 40 years in army now, 10 years after retirement. I remember even as a youngster, whenever there were war games or sand models, we were always taught and we were discussing China and Pakistan collision. So it is nothing very new that that has come about only in Off Sindoor. China and Pakistan, they have been together and they are posing a dual threat. And when we say two-front war means China and Pakistan. All right. So there is nothing new. So we should not give credence to these things. And I have been listening to this entire debate in the parliament, and there are certain questions which have been posed by certain politicians. Means, I'm sorry, I do respect all our policy makers, but the fact remains they are off the mark. They have no idea of matters military. When you say ki kaise wo andar aa gaye and all that thing, they have to understand the kind of terrain that exists in JNK. There are high reaches areas, there are forests. In order to reach those areas is very difficult. And in this Operation Mahadev that we have been talking about, it takes 6 to 7 hours to climb up. And moreover, whenever these terrorists, they make a hideout, they make a hideout in the heights. From there, they can look around. They have a surveillance. They have advanced warning system. So that in case somebody approaches them, they can shift the bases. And they
So, Aishwarya, is it possible, the last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show, the General Yadav makes a very pertinent point. When we are dealing with an external threat, like Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror and China and Pakistan operating in tandem, which everyone knows has been happening for decades. 80% of Pakistani equipment is Chinese, and that didn't happen just yesterday. Can't India, like they did during the first part of Operation Sindoor, speak in one voice? And I mean, I respect a healthy debate in Parliament, but when leaders say, why couldn't our aircraft go closer? Isn't the whole thing about new warfare, about standoff weapons, isn't that the future of warfare, ma'am?
Gaurav, I'm going to be emphatically clear about one thing. It is that while we stand with our armed forces in entirety and unequivocally, we reserve the right to ask questions when they are
Of
valid,
course.
which pertain to accountability, which pertain to things that could have prevented the loss of life, which is what we have been speaking of. When you say one off, see, the thing is, this point of absurdity of where you push one statement onto being the larger sort of statement the entire party is making is patently false, and that's what the BJP runs with, and that is
Point
completely to
taken.
them. All I want to say is this: I have been part of Jai Hind Sabhas where I've seen the mothers of martyrs in Karnataka, especially in Bangalore. The mothers of martyrs speak with so much pride for what they did, and I did
Of
not
course.
see a dry eye in the auditorium. The last thing I want to say is this: you talk about, Mr. Sarin, he's very knowledgeable and much respect to all the work that he does. When they talk about deterrence in India post 2014 or Sindoor and whatnot, right? There are certain things that stand in complete contradiction, whether it is us abstaining on an IMF vote, whether it is not even protesting at the UNSC, even if you say it was a routine rotation, or in the SCO where we could not even, Rajnath Singh ji could not even come out with them naming the aggressor in this, or President Donald Trump, the best friend of our Prime Minister, saying he will visit that area. That is not deterrence. That is a show of saying defiance, irrespective of what India
Gaurav
says.
ji.
You did
Okay.
151 tours as a Prime Minister, and you still had to send delegations of MPs all across the world. For what? To foster
Point.
support.
The
And
30
how
seconds
many
I have,
countries?
Guru
And how
Prakash
many
Paswan,
countries came
very,
out in
very
support of
pertinent
you?
point. Pertinent points being raised by Aishwarya. You want to quickly respond, sir?
And please don't say Chidambaram again. Thank you.
No.
Yes.
See, Gaurav, your viewers do understand and appreciate the point that security and stability is not a matter of machismo; it's a matter of statecraft. And Prime Minister said today that out of 193 nations, apart from 3 nations, and she was talking about the SEO, we had the Quad in favor of India, we had the BRICS in favor of India. Out of 193 nations, only 3 nations did not support, but the entire world. The Congress Party often asks this question: what about the tours? What about the tours? Today we know what we have achieved: an international
Okay.
isolation of Pakistan, international support in favor of India, in favor of Operation Sindoor, and out of which we must admit and accept that more than 100 terrorists neutralized, more than 9 air bases just decimated. And today, and the Congress Party, and I would again bring Mr. P. Chidambaram. Mr.
No,
P.
okay, so
Chidambaram,
that point,
Madam Sonia
already
Gandhi,
done.
late PM
I've run
Manmohan
out of
Singh,
time, and
we
this
will
we
keep
will
reminding
continue
the
to
fact.
track.
When
This we will
Manmohan Singh
continue
ji
to
said,
track over
Gaurav ji, last 10 seconds.
several days. Okay, 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds, sir. Quickly. Okay, so we will take this over the next several days. I am running out of time
You're talking about minority
completely.
appeasement.
Completely, I've run out of time on this part of the show, but over the next several days, we will track this story. But one point, as the Prime Minister also put it, from Sindoor to Sindhu, putting that Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. Now, this is actual action being taken. It may have impact after some time, but India is sending across a message, decimating 11 Pakistani air bases and radar stations, decimating them. That DGMO of Pakistan comes, says, "Bahut ho gaya." Will that deter Pakistan? Of course, they may try and target us once again, but then perhaps they will also have to factor in how we will hit them, perhaps even harder. Now, it's official. Operation Sindoor continues. On the night of May 7, Pakistan tasted the force of India's resolve. 9 terror camps, 11 bases and radar stations destroyed. The government said more than 100 terrorists eliminated. They said that's a conservative estimate. Now, India today brings you some of the most accurate pieces of information coming together about how justice for Pahalgam was achieved.
जनाब हिंदुस्तानी हवाई जहाजों ने हमारे कैंपों को तबाह कर दिया है। ओवर। Control to plane. PSU. Blade 1, airborne as planned. Climbing passing 3 kilometers. Blade 1, limit proceed as planned. Call over holding point. You are instructed not to cross Lima Charlie. Repeat, do not cross Lima Charlie. Copy. Targets are within standoff missile range. Do you copy? Copy that. Blade 2 rolling out. Mission coordinates locked. Preparing for high altitude ingress. Maintain altitude at 40,000 feet. Course set to grid Delta Charlie 7. Terrain masking active. Pakistani radar will show empty skies. Repeat, you are ghost tonight. Roger control. Holding position 12 kilometers short of LOC. Target zones locked. Visual and satellite confirmation ongoing. Target camp alpha identified. Confirming structure layout with ISR feed. Blade squad, we confirm 9 hostile camps aligned across grid Bravo through hotel sector. You are clear to engage. Missiles locked. Target camp Bravo marked for strike. Launching Storm Shadow. Time to impact. 24 seconds. Camp Alpha destroyed. Camp Alpha destroyed. Secondary blast confirms ammo cache. Moving to tertiary target grid. No Lima Charlie violation. Repeat, all payloads launched from Indian airspace. Excellent work, Blade. Satellite confirms 9 impact points. Mission classified as clean hit. Begin return protocol. Copy that. Control. Blades returning to